Now that I've got over a dozen hours or so of Battlefield 2042 under my belt, I think it's time to talk about my thoughts and impressions of the early access to the latest entry in the franchise. I will discuss the 3 primary modes, how it plays, what I like, what I don't like, and most importantly answer the question, is Battlefield 2042 worth buying? Let's dive in. For those that don't know, Battlefield 2042 is out and currently available for either the chumps that purchase the gold edition like myself, or have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. There's a lot to dig in here, and each Battlefield has taken me quite a bit of time to truly get the feel for and understand, so I will probably be doing a longer review after the full launch. However, after seeing the response online and taking a look at Reddit, I have one of my hottest takes yet in that I really like Battlefield 2042. I know it's controversial, but this game is just fun. It certainly has issues, which we will discuss here, but if I'm going to judge a game by my overall enjoyment of it, then Battlefield 2042 is a pretty great game. And also, oh, hang on, sorry, I better get this. Hello? Yeah, I'm doing the video right now. Yeah, I said it was great. Is the check in the mail? What do you mean you're waiting? I'm doing the shilling, aren't I? What more do you want? Fine, I'll finish the damn video, but I better be getting paid here. Yeah, okay, love you too. Ugh, sorry about that, just had to talk to my, grandma. Call me a shill or a fanboy, I don't really care. This game is just a damn good time. It needs a lot of work though, like sadly almost every other entry has needed at launch, including even the beloved Battlefield 4. Let's quickly review what the game itself is about. Battlefield 2042 is the 12th mainline game in the franchise, and like its predecessors, focuses on massive mixed infantry and vehicle combat set in large maps. As the name suggests, the game is set in the year 2042, where decades of climate devastation have caused multiple countries to fall apart, in some cases literally, resulting in millions of climate refugees or no-pats. It all comes to a head when in 2040 a Kessler syndrome effect wipes out 70% of the planet's satellites, causing an abrupt conflict between the 2 surviving superpowers, the United States and Russia. You play as a no-pat, a non-patrioted agent working for either side in the conflict. This explains and sets up the specialist system, which replaces the classic class system of previous entries. The results of climate change can be experienced in-game as sandstorms, and massive tornadoes can appear without warning, impacting the match in some dramatic ways. However, all of this lore, history, and storytelling is done within the multiplayer matches and outside media, as Battlefield 2042 does not feature a single-player campaign at all. This leads me to the game's 3 primary modes. Let's start with the first, All-Out Warfare. All-Out Warfare is Battlefield 2042's basic mode. It is the option for Conquest or Breakthrough, set within the new maps and using the new characters, vehicles, weapons, and gadgets of 2042. All-Out Warfare is a great way to experience what the game is about, and it's the one I jumped into first just to get a feel for the new gameplay systems. Conquest features some new additions like sectors and 128 players, but for the most part remains unchanged. It's a classic and it's fun, but it remains a bit unfocused to me, as it's always been the somewhat sandbox mode of Battlefield. You want to be a stealthy flag capper or flanker, a sniper overlooking a point, or pushing to the front line in a tank. Conquest gives you the freedom to play how you want and without the pressure or limitations of other modes. And in this, 2042 delivers for me, as players are given many tools to play around with and dynamically move around the map to tackle objectives however they want. Vehicles are plentiful and are fun to cruise around in, although there are many bugs associated with them. Overall, it seems like vehicles can be countered in a variety of ways, but in the right hands, these can still wreck squads, especially the hovercraft. That ungodly thing is currently completely overpowered and definitely needs some tuning. I've also read lots of complaints about the flight controls, but I can't speak for that really, as I never got the hang of flying in any Battlefield game. Jets, though, seem next to useless. For infantry gameplay, ziplines, elevators, parachutes, and transports provide an unparalleled ability to quickly traverse the play area, and given the size of the maps in 2042, is definitely needed. I will agree with some criticisms here that the maps seem almost too large and too barren, but they're definitely beautiful, and I think there are a few standouts such as Manifest, Discarded, and Renewal that create some really epic moments in firefights. True map balance and flow will take some time for the player base to understand. Breakthrough is even more chaotic than ever, with now 128 players fighting to either defend or attack points. It seems to focus on the highlights around the map, however I think there are some balancing issues here, as some points seem almost impossible to take for attackers. It remains a chaotic but more focused mode that I've enjoyed so far. However, it still doesn't top Battlefield 1's operations for me. Speaking of firefights, the shooting mechanics in Battlefield 2042 are strange. I know many are seeing weapon bloom and hit registration issues, but I'm almost convinced some of these are bugs, as I only sometimes experience the extreme weapon bloom that others are seeing, and hit reg for the most part has felt pretty good to me actually. When I fire at an enemy and expect to hit them, 95% of the time I seem to be hitting them. However, some of the severe issues with guns need to be addressed quickly. The gunplay could really use some tightening, some animations especially. Sprinting is stiff, bugs can cause me to aim out inadvertently, but overall I'm having a good time using the weapons, especially the DMRs. which actually may be a bit overtuned given how quickly and how accurately shots can be fired. Sniping, I'm happy to report, feels very good and satisfying in 2042, but I still need more time with it. Overall, I think the Gunplay has a solid foundation with some oddities to work out, mostly regarding weapon bloom. Weapon variety, though, is pretty dismal, and given the options we had in other Battlefields, this is a disappointment. I just want to briefly touch on specialists. I do miss the classic classes, of course, but these don't impact the gameplay in a negative way as much as I initially anticipated. I found that coordinating with your squad, you can still kind of set up an assault, a support, a medic, and you can play the roles pretty well. Although it remains a problem, it's not really clear who is holding what, so I still prefer the classic classes. Let's move on to the second mode, Hazard Zone. Even though they said it wasn't, Hazard Zone is Battlefield 2042's answer to the Battle Royale genre with some blending of other similar games. Hazard Zone features 8 squads dropped into the map with the goal of grabbing and extracting with data drives. You do not loot weapons or gear, you instead choose your loadout beforehand by using credits earned from winning previous matches. The specialists make much more sense here and lend some credibility to the claims that 2042 was originally developed as a Battle Royale only game. With a squad of friends and syncing your abilities, Hazard Zone can be a really good time with some intense fights as you are hunted by and try to extract against enemy squads. However, Hazard Zone suffers from a lack of voice over IP to communicate with randoms and seems very bare bones at the moment. After a win or two, you'll have more than enough credits to purchase your entire loadout with some to spare, and I can see this mode quickly becoming another dead mode. They really need to expand and deepen the gameplay experience, add more satisfying progression, and tie additional rewards into the credits. Also, DICE didn't learn their lesson with Firestorm and again have tied their Battle Royale to a purchase of the full game instead of making it a free-to-play option. Despite enjoying it, I just don't see this having legs without some serious additions. Let's talk about the final and so far my favorite mode of 2042 with Battlefield Portal. Portal is the love letter that was promised to fans, and as a longtime fan of the series, I think this statement is true with some caveats. Portal brings portions of 1942, Bad Company 2, and Battlefield 3 into the 2042 engine and is essentially a remaster of these games within the gameplay constraints of 2042. I'm not gonna lie, loading into 1942 Classic Conquest and hearing the original soundtrack hit me in a way I did not expect, and I'm happy to say it's been extremely fun to try out these new modes. Portal is much more than that, as it opens up a wide variety of gameplay customization options and possibilities that I think people are still just discovering. I don't think we've experienced all that Portal is capable of yet, and it provides a solid foundation to build upon and add to create a truly special Battlefield experience. There is some laziness, however, in that vehicles and some weapons seem to just be reskins of 2042's without attempting to capture how they handled and felt in the original title. Also, I understand that it's iconic, but El Alamein I don't think was the best map, as it's essentially a big empty desert, but it's still cool to see. Bad Company 2's Rush remains insanely fun, and it's incredible to see these maps redone in the new engine. Speaking of the engine, let's quickly cover the visuals and performance and audio. Visually, I think 2042 can be stunning but lacks the cohesive aesthetic and art direction of Battlefield 1. Which remains to me the best looking game in the series, even if 2042 is technically higher fidelity. I really struggle especially with the character models. While visibility for friend or foe has been improved with some color grading and LED lights, I still just don't think these models look particularly good, especially their faces. Performance has been pretty good for me. I'll post my specs in the description, and I'm able to maintain a solid frame rate on ultra to high settings. However, I know many are experiencing performance issues. I've had quite a few hard crashes that were mostly resolved by disabling crossplay, but it's just unfortunate and annoying for the game to release in such a state. While I'm having a good time and I'm not really putting my money where my mouth is, as consumers we do deserve better as far as stable launches go. Audio seems very bugged as well, as I mentioned in my beta review, with some sounds being extremely loud and others being quiet. And for the first time since Bad Company 2, I'm not blown away by the audio design of a Battlefield game, which is just really disappointing. I'm hoping it's mostly due to the bugs and not poor sound design, but we'll just have to wait and see. My conclusion remains pretty much the same as my beta review, and that I'm really enjoying myself in 2042, and I can't wait to jump into some more Portal modes. However, I don't disparage anyone that is disappointed or has legitimate gripes. The game has issues, this is indisputable, but do those issues outweigh the enjoyment I can experience while playing it? No. Not really, and this title provides, in my opinion, a fantastic foundation to build a great Battlefield game upon, especially Portal. I really hope they expand the options and content within and create a platform that almost any Battlefield fan can enjoy. As for if it's worth it, so far I would say for me, it actually has been. But those that wait are almost guaranteed to have a better first experience with the game as bugs and issues are ironed out. You'll just miss out on destroying me online for now. That's it for me. I'm gonna go collect my EA bucks and cash out. Let me know your thoughts and impressions in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more Battlefield content. Until next time.